Hello guys, so we are now in El Salvador at PlanB Conference, and here with you Anna Tutova, co-founder of Coins Telegram, and our guest who is returning to our channel, Paolo Ardoino, CEO of Tether, the most profitable company in crypto. We just announced their profits in 2024 of $13 billion, and as well the issue of the biggest stablecoin. And additionally, Paolo is CTO of Bitfinex. So great to have you here, Paolo.
Thank you for having me once again in your show. I'm always excited to be part of it.
Yeah, so you just recently announced that you set up your headquarters here in El Salvador. So what did lead you to such decision? So you're moving headquarters of Tether here, and as well Bitfinex derivatives as well moving to El Salvador. So can you tell more about that?
Sure. So El Salvador is a great country. I mean, we fell in love with both with the president and the government and the entire country, the population, quite a few years ago. We started coming here in 2021. We saw the country before the activity that the president did in order to make it more secure. In 2021, there were still gang members. El Salvador was considered the murder capital of the world. And in 2022, the president decided that enough was enough, decided to give a new life to their own citizens, to his own citizens, bringing stability, bringing peace, bringing security, removing the gang members, putting them in jail, making the country very, very secure. Now it's considered the safest country in the Americas and one of the safest countries in the world. This, to me, is not just a great result when it comes to of course, an activity of safety, but also shows that if you have the right politician that cares about the country, that cares about his own population, he can make wonders. He can actually change the status quo. He can change the history. And I believe that El Salvador is going through a renaissance moment. Mm-hmm. So we are just excited to be part of this new chapter of the country. Look, I'm a citizen now here as well, but I'm born Italian, and I wish in Italy we had such a great politicians.
Yeah, but as well as yesterday there was released another news that Bitcoin is not a legal tender anymore in El Salvador, because El Salvador reached agreement with IMF that IMF would provide a loan of $1.4 billion to El Salvador, and the condition was that all these private merchants are not obliged anymore to accept Bitcoin as a payment method, and as well it's impossible to pay taxes in Bitcoin anymore. So what do you think about this decision and about this shift?
So I think, given the philosophy of Bitcoin should never be pushed down the throat of people. Should have been optional from the beginning. But most importantly, the country is buying Bitcoin every single day with their treasury. So while they reach an agreement with the IMF, the commitment of the country to Bitcoin is not changing. They are doubling down on education. They are doubling down also thanks to our support, both with Tether and Bitfinex, in Bitcoin education, in increasing the infrastructure when it comes to Bitcoin payments and so on. So I think some Bitcoiners are complaining about this change, but I think we should have the right perspective and look at it as a positive thing. We don't want, as Bitcoiners, to be equal to the fiat maximalists that are forcing fiat to everyone and forcing the acceptance of fiat to everyone. We want it to be Bitcoin to be optional, to be chosen because it's the best way to pay, not because it's the forced way to pay.
So it doesn't have any implications for you?
No.
Nice. And as well, we see a lot of developments in the US. Now we see the pro-crypto president-elected Trump. So what do you think about the development of crypto regulations now in the US? And do you have any plans for the expansion of the activity of Tether in the US? And what challenges with that do you anticipate?
So the US is going to be a very interesting development. With USDt, we don't have in this moment plans to enter the US. but we definitely are planning to meet the requirements, if any, that will be included in the upcoming stablecoin legislation. We believe that the US is going to be very, very important, mostly as a jurisdiction that all the other countries are looking at. So, every single country in the world was waiting for the US to take the first step in a positive or in a negative direction towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. The previous administration was kind of against, but now it was made very, very clear from the new administration that crypto and artificial intelligence are high priorities for the country. So while we don't plan to enter the US in this moment, we believe that this clarity at the level of regulation, legislation and support from the administration is very important and will allow also the adoption of USDt outside the US at a much faster and higher rate.
And why don't you have plans for the expansion in the US? Is it because of the current regulations?
Not really. I think that every company needs to pick its own battles. There are 30 billion people in the world that don't have bank accounts. They are called unbanked. No, they are not bad people, but they are just too poor of being on interest of the banks. The US is a market that has 20, 30 payment ways. Like you can pay with PayPal, cash, bank wires, credit card, debit card, Zello, and you name it, there are plenty of ways. So there is an incredible competition, and outside the US, it's very difficult to pay US dollars, and everyone wants US dollars. If you go outside of Europe and US, if you go everywhere and you ask 1,000 people, do you prefer to have the US dollars or your national currency? 999 will say, I want the US dollar. So anytime you build a company, you have to think, who is my audience and which battles I should pick. And to us, there is so much potential outside the US that we are happily leaving the US to the other ones, because anyway they will not make any money in the US with this thing.
Nice. And as well, can you tell more about your developments in other regions? Like in August you announced the launch of Tether Dirham, but you're still in the process of acquiring the license. So can you tell more about that and what's the timeline of the full launch?
So we are still in progress and discussion with the regulator. USDt though has been accepted in the green list in the region. So now USDt can be used freely in UAE. So we are very excited about that. We are looking at all the other opportunities across the globe. There is so much demand for stablecoins and local stablecoins using our technology. For that reason, we built Hadron by Tether, that is a tokenization platform for real-world assets. The first asset that we tokenize, and we're famous for, is tokenizing currencies as USDt. But we tokenize gold, we tokenize with XLT, our platform allows to tokenize securities like equities, bonds, and shares of funds. So we are talking with many governments and many institutions to build a strong relationship and provide them our technology to grow that market, and that is an interesting opportunity also, especially in UAE, where we see a lot of interest also from government affiliated companies to become our customers.
And as well, can you tell more about the difference between Hadron and Bitfinex securities?
So they're actually complementary. Hadron is the Tether technology that tokenizes the assets on chain. So it's a pure technology that takes care of mapping a real-world asset towards a token. Bitfinex Securities is the exchange that allows these tokenized assets to be traded.
And as well, getting back to El Salvador, can you tell how do you see the crypto ecosystem here?
I think that we are going to see a growth in the crypto ecosystem, very rapid one, in the next few years. Especially our move here to El Salvador raised a lot of excitement, but also personally, and our team got so many questions and so many requests from other companies to understand how is the regulatory regime here, the licenses, the life in general. We are going to build a tower, a very tall tower, probably 70 floors. Here, that is the biggest tower in El Salvador and one of the biggest and highest in the region. So that tower will be filled by great companies that will want to make El Salvador and Latin America great.
So is there like different companies who would like to establish in El Salvador, or will there be only purely your portfolio companies?
No, many others. Well, I mean, our portfolio companies will definitely follow us. I was talking to Chris Pavlovsky, the CEO of Rumble. He's interested to open offices here, and I cannot disclose the names yet, but there are many other companies outside of our ecosystem that are really interested. Just because, sometimes you just need a company that takes the first steps, and then it gives the courage to everyone else to follow.
And how much time do you plan to spend yourself here in El Salvador?
Definitely a few months per year. It's a great country. And
yeah.
Food is becoming better every day. The weather is incredible. The only thing that is a bit annoying is the fact that I use too much air conditioning inside. I like the weather is so beautiful outside that I just like staying in the sun.
Nice. And as well, you mentioned Rumble, so you invested into this video platform $775 million last year. So can you tell more, why did you decide to make such move, and what does it mean for Tether?
So Rumble is a great platform. Is probably the only social media platform that always stood for freedom of speech. Now everyone is saying that and is pivoting toward freedom of speech, but only Rumble always did that, always fought for the liberty of a dialogue, and was the only platform that allowed President Trump to speak freely after he was deplatformed from X and from Paolo and all the other YouTube and all the other platforms in 2020, 2021. So as a company that loves Bitcoin, loves the freedom in general, we think it's very important to put our money in companies that are likewise supporting freedom of speech.
And you as well invest into a variety of different other companies. You deployed over $1 billion into other companies last year, and across different sectors. AI, brain computer interface, as well even agriculture and food company.
Yes.
So that was quite interesting. So as well Bitcoin mining. So can you tell more about that?
Well, actually it's a little bit all connected. So I think that it's important as a company to build technology and build an ecosystem that is very resilient. For example, land, food. We need high quality food, we need land that people can farm and create something that is not completely subject to hormones or all the different pesticides that are very dangerous for people's health. So Tether is also an educational company, right? So all these things that we are doing, artificial intelligence, we are building AI software, AI platforms, and AI applications that we are going to release in the next few months. But most importantly, we are going to open source a lot of it because we want to educate people on the importance of keeping their personal information private. Everyone is giving their most private personal information to ChatGPT, and that is a cloud company that is reusing that information for their own purposes. So we are building all these tools that while they might seem like scattered from the outside, they are part of the same story. How to make people more resilient, how to make people more independent, how we can empower people rather than empowering corporations.
Yeah, that's a great initiative. And can you tell what other industries are interesting for you for the investment? Like, what's your decision making while you decide whether to invest into this or another company?
I prefer to invest in real world projects like artificial intelligence, not necessarily related to crypto. Now there is a lot of new tokens that are trying to leverage the concept of AI, but in creating token. And honestly, I think that there are so many opportunities in the real world, and I think the success of crypto is actually in the real world. I much prefer to focus on building, using the technological rails that we learn from, using blockchain, for example, to track food, to track land ownership and all these type of things, rather than launching meme coins. So that is where I see the biggest utility for humanity.
Yeah, that's important. And as well, you mentioned the launch of your AI platform. So can you tell more about this and what features can users anticipate?
So I wanted to create a platform that would empower the people. So we're going to open source soon what we call an AI SDK, a software development kit that works on mobile phones, works on laptops, works on servers, on mainframes, and allow every developer to build a privacy-oriented AI. So, and also peer-to-peer AI, so that it's basically decentralization for AI done properly without any blockchain or scammy tokens, where every single developer can decide what to build. They will own the code, but people that run the applications can keep control over their own data. For example, if I want to build Paolo's best assistant, AI assistant, I need to give access to my mail, to my contacts, to everything that I have in my life. And I don't want all that to go to a cloud company to learn everything about me. I want to keep it private. So that's what we are creating. We are creating AI that can run locally on your devices to keep everything about yourself private.
So is this like a SaaS platform for developing AI applications?
It's more like more as SDK, a software development kit. So it's a set of libraries that coders can take and build upon it. Because if we were creating a service platform, that means that we will be anyway centralizing around us. We actually want to gift it to the board because we believe it's the right thing.
Yes, it's great. And as well, just last week there were a lot of news from China about the launch of DeepSeek, and that the cost was just $6 million. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you believe that that was the real cost, or does Chinese government hide something?
So I think it's likely could have been the real cost, but more importantly, the big differences and the big impact that the DeepSeek have is the fact that they open sourced. Even if it costed exactly as much as ChatGPT, they created an open source competitor to ChatGPT. So now ChatGPT in a situation where they spent a lot of money, they keep the code closed source, but why someone should use them when there is an equal alternative that is open source? So actually DeepSeek is the biggest threat to ChatGPT business model ever. So that's why everyone is scared. It's not much about how much they spend in training, to me, is the fact that they open sourced it. It's gonna be killing the business model of ChatGPT and making it almost irrelevant in the next years. And now everyone will have to compete in open source rather than in closed source. So that's quite interesting. It shows that the US has been sleeping too much at the wheel for the last decade.
Yeah, and as well, you mentioned that now a lot of companies launching the crypto AI coins. So what intersections between crypto and AI do you see?
I think that AI is great for is one of the greatest tools that we are going to have in our lives, and I see crypto as a way to allow AI to pay other AI agents. But honestly, launching a token is not my thing.
Yeah, and can you share as well some upcoming plans for Tether and for Bitfinex?
So Bitfinex will plan to focus more and more on Bitcoin first, rather than many other tokens, and on Bitfinex securities. And on Tether, we are looking at other opportunities in biotech and the Bitcoin mining. Probably we are going to double down a lot in Bitcoin mining.
Biotech in terms of investment in other biotech companies?
Yes, exactly.
Great. And as well as last questions, what are your predictions for Bitcoin all-time high price this year?
Non-financial advice, just because it's important to remark that, but I'm always bullish on Bitcoin. I think that, I don't know about this year, but I'm positive that in the next years the price will double, triple, quadruple. The world is going towards a very dangerous place. I mean, I think that the world is becoming much more unstable, and so I think Bitcoin is the only thing that is governed by math, is not governed by humans, and will be adopted as the main currency of the world in the future.
And there are a lot of concerns now that US economy is in a quite bad position. So if US economy will go down, crypto will follow in Bitcoin too. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that, well, first of all, the US economy is still much better than the rest of the world. So if the US economy falls, the rest of the world will be dead since a long time. And anyway, I think that Bitcoin will be an edge towards that. I think that if there is a huge catastrophic event in the global macroeconomy, Bitcoin will go to the moon.
Okay, that will be great. Thank you for such interesting conversation.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me again.